Greetings everyone, and welcome to the other category of LEGO Rewind, where we take another look at the strange, the obscure, some things you may never have heard of. If it's a thing I've wanted to mention sooner or later in the course of the series but couldn't dedicate an entire episode to, it'll be here. I'm gonna start with something fairly tame. 1998's Cybermaster. A cousin of Mindstorm is released the same year, but created specifically for Technic. I somehow completely missed this while making that episode. Now these are the kinds of corny, clunky Technic builds I go nuts over. Just piles of your basic lift arms and axles clumped together into barely comprehensible shapes. They're not sleek, they're not smooth or shiny or elegant, they're walking piles of garbage with googly eyes, and that's beautiful to me. This gladiator bot crusher has this great football helmet looking roll cage around his face, and I guess it's supposed to be fearsome, but it just makes him look like a big clumsy kid to me. Look at him standing out there like King Kong. What's really awesome about Cybermaster is they made this entire cyberpunk world to go along with it. Welcome to Technic City, a planet of robots ready to help you out. We've made pit stops here many a time throughout LEGO Rewind, gotten glimpses of it in the background, box art, little adverts, etc. And the depth and scope of it is pretty impressive, but for the longest time I didn't know what this place was. With its moody lighting and harsh colors and slick architecture, I just thought, wow. LEGO used to make crazy evocative worlds like this just for the heck of it. They just used to do that. It reminds me of the little CDs that came with early Bionicle figures, with full voice acting and music and everything. You weren't just getting a set, you were getting a whole world. Of course, this is a few years earlier, so it's even more primitive, but I love 90s computer animation. I made a whole video about just that. I know some people have a hard time appreciating visuals like these, but I enjoy seeing artists of the day squeeze out every bite they could within those technological restrictions, all the clever workarounds that create a complete artistic vision. It's like entering a dream world inside somebody else's head, and Technic City is just a cool place, probably the single most atmospheric setting LEGO's ever created. I am not kidding. And yet you never know that with this hideous, cluttered box art hiding it all. Like, if this was the box art and didn't get a double take out of you, I don't think anything in the store could have. There isn't much left to say about Cybermaster. I just wanted to acknowledge how it embodies the spirit of LEGO Rewind, and in a way it's been with us since the show began, just waiting for its day. The most recent counterpart I can think of is the creator, inventor, Sublime, or Boost, but these don't have an alien cyberpunk city attached to them. Whatever this one's doing, I don't like it. Now that everyone's comfortable, let's freak it up with Snap, LEGO's answer to Connects, also from 1998. That was a busy year for LEGO. While perfectly compatible with Technic pins and easy enough to adapt to bricks, this was an entire building system in its own right, and this is weird even for me. It's easy to look at these alien constructs and think, could you imagine if these took off? If Snap became the new standard and replaced bricks? And while I may joke about such things in an April Fool's episode, people had the same fear of my favorite line taking over LEGO. But that didn't happen. Popular as Bionicle was, it could never kill bricks, as history shows. It just bought LEGO time to refine the art of bricking. I think Snap was another effort to branch out in a dark time when LEGO almost died. Something to help them get by until bricks can make a comeback. Just look at this. What is this? Apparently these kids inhaled some Joker gas and died soon after. 90s LEGO commercials were insane. Compared to that, the names are disappointingly mundane. Jet Car, Bi-Wing, Mini Sonic, Hook Truck, the Blackmobile. Now that's a name. The combination of red, purple, green, yellow, it's pure 90s. Everything was so searingly saturated back then. Like the Extreme Team, a radical town sub-theme from 1998. Are we ever gonna leave this year? With the red, black, and trans neon green, these look straight out of a space theme. The builds are just nonsensical. Like that hull's gonna wear out grinding on the ground. But at least they look cool. And then there's this normal looking raft that I guess they figured calling the Extreme Team Raft would make it somehow feel less out of place. Remember when they used to print dynamite on tiles before they made a proper dynamite mold? It's just hard seeing these as part of a town theme. You're walking down the street on a normal sunny day with your stair-shaped rooftops, classic base plates, perfectly trimmed trees, tiny cars, and then I'm in your face. Funny thing, I remember getting this set for Christmas way back, crazy colors and all, and until recently, I was never able to identify it on Brickset, Brickopedia, Bricklink, anywhere. I was beginning to think I'd imagined it, but it's one of the first LEGO sets I ever owned. Now I know how the audience feels sometimes. People ask me to make a town episode, and I just don't think I have it in me. If I'm to come up with anything interesting to say about a town theme, it needs to stand out. It needs to be way out there. Like Outback, there's a good example. Released just a year earlier, this is a nice edge to it. The colors, the terrain, the lighting, they make it look like such a hot day outside. And bits like this fan are some of the rarest LEGO pieces on Earth, haven't been reused for anything since. This is where I think town or city can really shine, is by taking us to towns around the world. That's not to say LEGO hasn't tried appealing to specific markets. Take their collaboration with Muji, a papercraft line they released together in Japan in 2009. Building these is simple enough. You just punch stud-sized holes in the paper and line them up with what few plastic bits there are. Sounds simple enough, though I don't know how many kids would have the patience or steady hand needed for these. I can see myself as a kid stressing out that I might ruin them and then make a mistake because my hand was shaking with worry. But if anything fits in the other category, it's this. I just like seeing LEGO diversify and shining a light on such things. Well, maybe not all such things. With all the late 90s Naps, Hypermaster, etc., we saw sublines like Freestyle, Basic, and Classic, which are pretty self-explanatory. Over 20 years ago, people already thought LEGO was drifting too far from its roots and needed an outlet for the Just Bricks crowd to go back to basics. But one of the most easily forgotten inclusions in this lineup are the McDonald's sets. Now, McDonald's has partnered up with LEGO many times, but these are particularly dank. The builds themselves are nothing special, but look at the minifigs. What, you don't see them? Right there? Yeah, apparently these 2x3 slopes with face prints from those cartoon specials and that trademark Klasky Scoopo art style specifically designed to be hideous on purpose, we're just expected to accept these as minifigs of those characters. No, this is not just a bad dream. You saw this face as a child, probably in your very own Happy Meal, smiling up at you. I don't even want to know what a walking, talking, sentient wad of meat would look like as a minifig.
Chicken nuggets.
I think we might be going too far down this rabbit hole. Take me back! Factory, there's a neat one. A 2005 precursor of sorts to LEGO Ideas. These sets are special because they were, well, designed by fans. And you can kinda tell. There are a few little things that give it away. Only fans like me would obsessively cover every stud on a rock piece like that. The first models were microscale, kind of foreshadowing the architecture line. And I really like how the buildings are done. The later minifig scale ones are well designed for the 2000s, if a little quaint. The space skulls piloted by actual skeletons are a funny idea. But man, I like the shape of the Star Justice ship. That long canopy with a pilot slung way back, that's not how LEGO designs ships. I mean, I'm sure they had a hand in finalizing these, cleaning them up a little bit. They have to fit within the same restrictions official LEGO products do, but you can see the imagination bleeding through. They really outdid themselves with a hobby train set. So many different types you could build, even a couple of Steam logos, and these hot rods have all the qualities I love about MUX. These days, they change so much about the designs fans submit, and I guess in a way it's for the best if it makes a more sturdy product. But still, Factory has a wily, untamed edge about it that I want to see nurtured and cherished. They did something kinda similar recently called the Master Builder Academy, which, well, it has some neat designs, doesn't make as strong of a case for itself, and I don't think it was designed by fans. It was just there, and it died. I'm not even gonna bother with a segue here. People keep asking me to make an episode about SpongeBob, but this is the worst sort of theme for me to cover. And not just because it's a licensed theme. It's just so perfectly middle of the road. I can barely think of anything to say about it. They made like 3 versions of SpongeBob's house, and they're all competent. I love SpongeBob. I still laugh at it, but the only thing here that catches my attention is Plankton being just a cylinder. That's hilarious to me. Even this bigger version of Plankton in the Build-A-Bop set is just a I honestly have more to say about Avatar. These at least disappointed me. Like Plankton, Momo's the most unique thing about these so easily forgotten 2 sets. People have asked me to look at SpongeBob for years, but no one, not once in LEGO Rewind's history, has ever asked me to look at these. That should tell you something. I love The Last Airbender. There was so much potential for great LEGO builds, and they barely did anything with it. The Fire Nation ship is, yeah, it's big, but it's literally just bricks and bricks and bricks stacked like a Jenga tower. It's the most basic sort of build. There are 100 ways they could accomplish that daunting silhouette these days without the construction being so bland. The air temple is plane, and the minifigs, they're alright. Couldn't even come up with new, authentic-looking armor for the soldiers. If this came out a few years later, they could do so much more with more recent parts. Imagine if we got an Appa build with a giant saddle for the gang. This really should have come out later than it did. This is why I don't cover licensed themes much. They just disappoint me a lot of the time, and would make for disappointing and not fun LEGO Rewind episodes. Do people really want that? I mean, they keep insisting I should do that. I don't want to be negative. I think we got time for one more of these weirdos. Mixels is another popular request, but does anyone remember X-Pods? Yeah, these are basically Mixels a decade before Mixels, packaged in those little cases made of LEGO parts they'd always try to incorporate in at least one of the designs. Not always with great results. Dear lord, that's horrific. It's just funny seeing more primitive versions of the sorts of things they could build today, like those hinge joints. In 2014, they'd use proper ball joints, which brings us back to Mixels. I don't have much to say about these, I think they speak for themselves, but I do see the charm, using basic LEGO elements to create striking character designs. Like, look at those minifig helmets making them squint. That's genius. And these names. Bernard. I love the faces. There were a lot of these little guys, I think like 80 of them, covering just about every trope you could think of. Space, construction workers, firefighters, producers, ninjas, pirates, dentists, boogers. Bleh. They typically came in threes, though now and then LEGO would revisit one of the older tribes, so you could have an entire shelf populated by green boys. The best part were the combination models, which they released instructions for many of. I mean, if you think about it, he's literally a one-man band. If nothing else, Mixels is very flexible. While many of the themes we've looked at today may have been unintentionally or unfortunately weird, this line was designed from the ground up to be weird, sending a message that it's okay to mix and match your favorite LEGO parts into strange, wrong combinations. Nothing's too silly to be legitimate, too alien to be accepted. Just go crazy and make you. They try to convey that message of creativity with lines like freestyle, but I think Mixels makes the strongest case for it. And having realized that, I am a little sad to see her retire without some kind of replacement or spiritual successor on the way, because I think it's something kid fans of LEGO need to hear sometimes. Well, that episode was all over the place, but that's to be expected. Sorry if there was some weird theme or other people wanted to see here, but this show is ultimately about the themes that matter to me, that I can think of something to say about. If I have to phone it in just to appease some fans, it's not worth talking about, but most of these I wanted to make time for here cause it might be my last chance to take a look at them, and I just hope you got something out of it too. That's it for today. If you want to support my work, please consider my graphic novel series Planet Ripple. You can buy the books on Amazon or read an early draft of the first book for free, and for the Bionicle fans in my audience, there's the Toa, my ultimate love letter to the original series. Next time, we go on one more medieval quest.
Warning! Boys all over the country are catching a new virus. The virus is called Snap, and it's very contagious. The Snap virus is on the loose. Get ready to catch it.